Hello, guys. A very warm welcome to all of you. Very good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where you are. Welcome to this session from GMATWhiz on inference and assumptions. I'm sure for all of you out there who have been training yourself on GMAT CR, you have encountered problems whenever it comes to inferences or assumptions. These are the two basic skills that you require, not just for inference and assumption questions, but for the other CR questions as well. And then later on, when you go into RCs, you still need to learn to infer and draw assumptions. So, guys, let me know from your end if you can hear me clearly, and I would love to hear a hello from your end as well, so that I know who I am talking to, because I can't hear you. You can hear me, you can see me, but I would love to hear hello with your names, where you are attending from, and at what level of prep you are. So do let me know in the chat box, guys, uh, with a nice hi and hello. So I'll wait for that before I set up the agenda of the session, guys. Hi, Rohit. Hello, Rohit. Let me see. Guys, I can see a lot more of you out there. So it would be lovely if I could hear a few more hellos from your end. I guess there's a lag at my end. Hi, Aniket. Hi, Ashish. Yes, Rohit. I'm also looking forward to the session. Hi, Andre. I love taking sessions with my students because that's the one time when you get to interact with people. Hi, Rohan. Nice. Hi. So we have Aniket. Hi, Unicorn. Okay, this is Sharik. I'm so sorry. Hi, Sharik. Wow. Thank you so much, guys, for reaching out with your warm hellos. Great. Hi, Jaydeep. Wonderful. So, without any more wasting of time, let me quickly set up the agenda for the day, for the evening today. So, here it goes. What are we going to do today? We will be looking at, okay, before that, I keep forgetting this part, okay? So, my name is Sunita. I'm the verbal head at GMATWhiz, and I'm also the lead course architect of the verbal part of GMAT, and I have had tons of experience teaching students, mentoring them, with them. I've taken the exam a couple of times now, and I've scored the 99 percentile in the verbal section of that exam. Above all of this, I really love teaching. I love teaching. I love finding simple solutions to not so simple problems, let's say. Okay, let's put that aside because that's kind of embarrassing slightly. We're going to look at very important things, guys, today. As I was saying earlier, drawing inferences is not important just for the inference questions for CR, but it is also very important as you move down to the other questions. So, whether you're solving assumption questions, strengthen, weaken, evaluate, you need to draw inferences from the data given in the stimulus. If you read the stimulus correctly, if you draw the correct inferences, then you will be able to eliminate choices successfully. So, we're going to talk about how to draw inferences while you're reading the stimulus. Next, we will talk about how to spot assumptions while reading the stimulus. Now, this is not about pre-thinking per se, guys. Okay, I'm going to definitely put aside a small portion for pre-thinking, but what we are going to look at today is how do you spot the assumption that you often hear people say the logical gap, the missing link. How can you spot it? Is there some small simple technique which can help you spot those links? So we're going to talk about that today as well. And of course, we're going to solve inference and assumption questions, two of each today. So let us get started, guys. I hope all of you are as excited as I am. Hi, Deepthi. So let me see. Okay, I've got my, all right. So lovely to have all of you guys. For those of you who haven't allowed me to know your names, again, a very warm welcome to all of you, because I can see that a lot more of you have joined since I started. So we'll start right away with the first thing, that how to draw inferences as you go along. One small request, guys. Right at the outset, I want to request you that we are going to discuss the timing thing at the end. you're not going to think about time now. You cannot possibly do two things at the same time. You cannot keep looking at your watch and learn a new skill, okay? So let us not talk about and think about time right now. Okay, guys, so I'll bring up the first question, okay? And I'm going to show you what to do with that question later on. So first thing that we do is how to analyze the stimulus correctly in order to draw the inferences correctly. All right. Understand what the screen says, how to analyze the stimulus correctly in order to draw the inference correctly. Because people think, okay, drawing inference simply means just read the stimulus quickly and then go to the answer choice and eliminate answer choices. No, it doesn't work like that. Okay. And this drawing inferences is not just for inference based questions, guys. It stands true. This method, this skill is required for all CR questions. For those of you who feel that despite doing everything, you're not able to make headway and improvements in your CR, this is the session that is going to benefit you. So I'm going to bring up the question, guys. Here is the question. It's not a very difficult question. We're going to start light because I want to show you how to draw the inferences. Hi, Ande, you're from Nigeria. Hi, Shiva. So, guys, one small request once again. You have 2 minutes to solve this question, but don't post the answers till I request you to do so that we can give everyone a fair chance to put forward their answer choices. Okay, so solve this. Keep the answers to yourself till I request you to do so. I'm going to mute myself in the meantime. All the best, guys. Your time starts now. Guys, so Sharik, you're saying screen is not clear. Guys, the others, is the screen clear for you? Because I think you'll have to adjust the resolution, Sharik. I have made the font bold from my end. The resolution you'll have to fix at your end, Sharik. Let me see if I can kind of, because the resolution, I can't do anything about it. Let me see if I can increase the fonts or something. Okay, hope this works. Sharik, I hope it is better now. I've changed the font also. All right, guys, you can start putting in your answers. Your 2 minutes are way up. You can start putting in your answers, guys. Once again, reminding you that the aim is not to see right away whether you're getting the question correct or not. The idea is to learn how to draw inferences so that you can successfully eliminate the incorrect choices and choose the correct choice for the right reason. Okay, so I have got answers. Rohit says it's C. Julia says A. Others, guys, pitch in. Let's have fun. Andre says it's B. So I've got A, B, C for now. Aniket says E. Natasha says A. Soumya says A. So I've got Thoko Zani saying C. Shivendu E. Then who else do I have here? Blaze says A. Jaideep says A. Uh, then I've got, okay, Abhiroop saying A by elimination. Great. And then I've also gotten E. So I've got A's, I have got B's, I have got E's, I have got also C's. And then, of course, I have people who haven't posted their answers. Aniket says it's D. All right. So, guys, now what I'm going to discuss with you will help you choose the correct answer without playing the guessing game. Very often, I'm sure you have found yourself kind of making certain kind of guesses. Okay. So, again, remember the focus will be how to read so that you don't end up making so many guesses. All right. As Jedi puts it, all seem wrong, but one of them is definitely not incorrect. Okay, so let us get started, guys. I would request you to have patience. The medium is such that perhaps there might be a lag between me speaking and you getting to hear. So let us get started, guys. I'm going to start with my explanation. Okay. Now, the trick to reach the correct inference is, first of all, to break and read the sentence. Please do not read the sentences at a breakneck speed. Do not be in a hurry to reach the answer choices. It does not work like that. And I keep saying this throughout all my sessions. Trust me on this. Try it out, and then you will see the difference. So here goes. When I start reading, okay. Okay, here's a question for all of you. What does this segment mean, guys? Only from here till here. What does this segment mean to you? Come on, in the chat box, all of you. Remember, we are trying to discover the skill to reading correctly so that we draw the correct inferences. Okay, tell me, what does that small portion mean for you? For large farms to be as productive as they can be, what does it mean? In your own words, guys. So all of you, Sharik, Aniket, Ande, Jaideep, Abhiroop, Blaze, Shivendu, Thokoznik, Soumya, Natasha, Aniket, Julia. Yes, come on, guys. What does that small segment mean to you? All of you all have read it, right? All of you all have read it. Please write in a small sentence what it means to you. Ande, just the word productivity doesn't tell me anything. Dub says, in order to sustain, no. Optimal production, no. A condition to attain maximum productivity. Who is saying this? Natasha. Absolutely. Natasha is absolutely correct. That small portion is mentioning a necessary condition that has to be, so it's a necessary condition means it has to be fulfilled in order to attain maximum productivity for those large farms. Okay, so be precise. The first step is to be precise when you're reading. See, a lot of y'all are saying productivity ideas coming, Ashivani is saying large farms can be productive if something is done. No, that is not precise, Ashivani. Large farms can be productive is not the idea. The idea is large farms can achieve maximum productivity if something is done. Okay, so maximum possible capacity, Mandar, yes. Maximum output. Karna, I think number of hours, let us not jump to that conclusion here. But since we are talking about farms, that particular segment means that a condition is going to be stated which needs to be fulfilled for large farms to achieve the maximum productivity that they can achieve. Okay, so please remember, be precise in what you're reading. Very good, Rohan. In order to be as productive as it is possible. Very good. That's a very good way of putting it. Absolutely. So optimal productivity and maximum productivity might be a little different. Let's keep it simple, Ande. All right. What we are saying here is, if you are the owner of a large farm, if you want to achieve maximum productivity, every large farm will have its own level of maximum productivity. So if you are the owner of a large farm and if you want to achieve that level of productivity, you have to do something. All right. So great, guys. So this is what I mean by precision. CR is precision. Okay. And I've used a very simple example to put forward this idea of precision. All right. So let's see what that condition is. Their owners need to invest. Look at the language: need to, requires, must, should be done. These are languages used to indicate a necessary condition. So the necessary condition here is the farmers, sorry, the owners of these large farms, they have to invest heavily. That means they have to spend a lot of money in expensive machinery. They have to buy a lot of they have to buy machinery which is costly, and they have to spend quite a good amount on this. Now what can we infer from this sentence, guys? Let's see. If I simplify it from the first sentence, the inference that we can draw is productivity cannot be maximized without that expensive machinery. Tell me how many of you are able to understand this inference? How many of you actually drew this inference, guys? If you drew this inference actively, not just in the passing, if you drew it actively, if you told this to yourself, please post a yes. If you did not, then please post a no. And let's be honest here, because that's the best way to reach the desired results. How many of you actually thought of it? Great. If you thought of it, then because understanding every line is going to help you build and help you eliminate choices. God forbid, if there was a choice based on this inference, you would be able to eliminate it. Okay. So from that sentence, what you can infer is, since it's a necessary condition, it means that the minimum that the large farm owners need to do is to invest in expensive machinery. Okay. All right. Remember to draw the correct inference. Again, let me ask you a question, guys. Does it mean that if my question is very simple, listen carefully, guys. Listen carefully. I'll just post the question there. Does this sentence mean that by, let's say, spending heavily on expensive machinery, the large farms will become, will achieve, let's say, will achieve maximum productivity? So I'm going to put up the question on display on the screen. Answer that question, guys, with a yes or no. Does this sentence mean that by spending heavily on expensive machinery, the large farms will achieve maximum productivity? So these are small things that you have to look out for. These are the traps. Yes, Abhirup, they can, but they will? No, because it's a necessary condition. A necessary condition means it's a bare minimum that you have to provide, but that itself does not guarantee the result. All right. So great. I think all of you have got it. Most of you have answered no, and that's the correct answer. No, we cannot be sure that even after spending so heavily on expensive machinery, the large farms will definitely become productive. We don't know that. All right, great. So let me just remove that comment from there. Okay, thank you, guys. Now let's move to the next sentence. This typically requires them to go into considerable debt. So here this will refer to this investment, heavy investment in expensive machinery, right? So heavy investment in expensive machinery, typically, now the word typically tells us that this is the general, the usual scenario. Again, we have the word requires, which means another necessary condition coming up. So this requires them to go into considerable debt, and interest on this debt is then a significant fixed cost. Mind it, they are not mentioning that the rate of interest is high or low. They're simply saying that you have to draw a large loan, and the interest on this loan is going to become a noticeable part of the fixed cost. All right. So, for expensive machinery, huge loans have to be taken. We can draw an inference here that the farmers cannot buy such machinery from their own pockets. From this simple small segment, we can draw the inference that the farmers cannot buy the machinery from their own pockets, and that is why the word requires. They have to do that. Okay. And then the next segment, huge loans means burdens of high fixed cost. All right. So we are inferring. Now see the inference, guys. Look at this. I am joining this inference plus this inference to arrive at this inference. If large farm owners want to achieve maximum productivity, so we are looking at this line, they have to bear the burden of high fixed cost, this line. This is what we call relating back information in order to get your stimulus, you wrap your head around the stimulus properly. Let me know if this is clear, guys, all of you. Let me know if this is clear. I'm going slow because I want you to understand what I'm doing. Look at what I'm doing. I'm inferring from every sentence, and you can this as I said earlier, don't think of time right now. Okay, we will come to that later. But understand what you can do if you read your sentences properly. So many inferences that you can draw. So Abhirup has asked a question. This typically requires them to go into considerable debt. Does this mean they may go? No, typically means, so typically in CR means that's the general scenario. There might be exceptions, but that's the general scenario. All right. So don't think about 100% farmers or 99% farmers or 88% farmers. Just think that that's the usual scenario. Okay. And usual means that's the rule. That's not the exception. All right. So Jaideep, I have just answered that question. Great. Thank you, guys. Okay. Let me now move to the next one. The last sentence. This high fixed cost, all right, makes those farmers. So now that this significant fixed cost has to be borne, this significant fixed cost makes those farmers, I'm assuming here, I'm linking here that those farmers refers to those owners of large farms, vulnerable to. The word vulnerable means opening yourself to the risk of something. And as Jaideep pointed out earlier, I don't know, I'm not a businessman, I don't know what is operating losses. But mind it, guys, if you're an MBA aspirant, you should know what is a loss, at least. So even if you don't know what exactly an operating loss is, you do know the word loss and hang on to that. Okay. So this high fixed cost makes these farmers open to losses. Okay, if the prices of their products drop. Okay, so this is a one scenario. Okay, if price of farm products drops, farmers can face operating losses. This is what I am the simplified meaning of the last sentence. Okay, look at the inference that I'm drawing finally. If large farm owners want to achieve maximum productivity, so how am I drawing the last this inference? In order to maximize the productivity. So if large farm owners want to achieve maximum productivity, they have to risk facing operating losses. Okay, they have to risk facing operating losses. See how I have drawn the inference by joining the different bits and pieces of information. Is this clear, guys, how we arrived at this? Is this clear, guys, how we have arrived at this? Let me know with a loud yes if this is absolutely clear to you. So please understand, guys, this reading is not just for the inference questions. You need to read all your CR sentences this way, even your RC. You might be telling yourself, this is going to take a lot of time. Guys, again, I'm saying, timing will be reduced on your answer choices. Trust me, it will hardly take you 30-40 seconds to eliminate the incorrect choices and reach the correct answer choice. Now, if I ask you to post your answers, I'm going to take you back. So, with this understanding of the stimulus, okay, if this is the understanding of the stimulus, I'm going to take you back to the previous slide, okay? And I'm going to give you 30 seconds to reconsider your answer choices and start posting your answer choices, okay, guys? If you want to reconsider, do that. If you believe you chose the correct answer choice, stick to it. You have 30 seconds. Your time starts now. Just reminding you, earlier there was a lot of difference between A, B, C, and E. Okay, so go ahead, guys. And while you post your answer, I also want you to write next to it. Suppose you're posting B, write B, confident. Write C, not confident. Write D, confident. So I want you to write whether you're confident while choosing that answer choice or not. Okay. Remember the inferences that we drew earlier. We know that the farmers have to borrow money, they have to incur high significant costs in order to maximize productivity. It is not necessary that after doing all of this, they will make their farms productive. And it means simply that if they want to maximize their productivity, they will have to take the risk of facing losses. All right, let me see. So I've got Natasha. I think Natasha earlier also chose A. Shivendu has so kindly pointed that from E to A. Nice to see that, Shivendu. So Natasha, A, confident. Sharadeep, D, confident. Sharik, you haven't mentioned. I think Sharik, you meant A, confident, probably, right? Okay. And then I've got Deepak, A. Deepthi, D, confident. Jaideep says A, not confident. Okay. Jaideep, focus on can. Andre says A, confident. Aniket says D, confident. Aniket, D, confident. Sujay says A, confident. So now it's boiled down to A and D. Okay, guys. I think again you have to pay attention to the language. Jasprit says A, Mandar says A, confident. Great, guys. So I have a lot more confident answers than not so confident answers. Okay. One quick question here. Those of you who eliminated A, because A is the first choice. So I'm asking this because a lot of you have marked D. Those of you who eliminated A, why did you eliminate A? What was your reasoning? Can you quickly post it, guys? Oh, I've got so many A's now. So those of you who eliminated A, please can you tell me why you eliminated A? Thank you, guys. Very heartening to see your answers, your responses. Wait up, I'm going to bring up a very smacking, rollicking question next for inference. But just before that, quickly, uh, so Shauradip, A is not saying it cannot be profitable. A is saying they can be highly productive without being profitable. Okay, understand the meaning of A. Aniket, operating losses is indirectly being referred to as not being profitable. All right. So I think a lot of you did not read A carefully. Jaideep, the role of can is it has the ability. Can grammatically means has the ability. If I say I can paint, it means I have the ability to paint. The farms can be highly productive means the farms have the ability to be highly productive. All right. Okay. So I think a lot of you may not have got the right understanding of choice A. So the next step in choosing the correct answer is to read the answer choice also properly. A lot of us hurry, we just read the answer choice on the surface and we decide, okay, this is not referring to anything mentioned in the paragraph. Let me move on. Okay, without being profitable, Ashivani could mean that just not making any profit. So, not making any profit means just breaking even. Whatever cost you're incurring, you might just get back enough to cover the cost, but not to give you any profit. Okay, what it simply means is that you might make your farms highly productive, but at the same time, those farms may not give you profits. Okay, all right. So without being profitable does not mean loss. Ashivani, without being profitable does not necessarily means loss. It simply means without being profitable. It's not making a profit. Not making a profit automatically does not mean making a loss. So let's understand A, okay? Once again, I want to draw your attention to this part, okay? Productivity cannot be maximized without expensive machinery, but does not mean that it will definitely become if they invest in if the farmers invest if farmers invest, then farms can be, oh sorry, let me use the word can, the word is can achieve maximum productivity, right? This is what we are saying. So remember that. Now, if we move to the answer choice, they here, so the question is the information above supports. So the information above means this information above supports which of the following inferences. That means we need to identify which of the choices is supported by the information above about large farms. So this they stands for large farms. Here we are saying large farms can be highly productive. So till here, let's first ask ourselves, can the large farms be highly productive? Guys, answer me. Can the large farms be highly productive? Can they be highly productive? Only this segment. Can we infer this segment from the passage? Yes or no? Can the farms be highly productive? Yes or no? Can the farms be highly productive? Can they? If the farmers are going to invest a lot of heavy machinery, can the farms? Yes, absolutely they can. Okay. Then we come to the segment without being profitable. So ask yourself, is there any scenario in the passage from which I can deduce that there might be a chance of the farms not making profits? And when I ask that, I get it. Yes, if the prices of their products drop, so this is the loss scenario. Okay. And investing expensive machinery says can be highly productive. Can be. Since we are trying to maximize productivity and we are investing in expensive machinery, they can be highly productive. But if at the same time the prices of the products drop, then despite being productive, they may not be profitable. So, what we are really saying is the farms can be highly productive, yes, since heavy machinery is being used, there is a possibility. At the same time, can the farmers not be profitable? Farms, yes, if the price drops, despite being highly productive, the farmers can lose money, and therefore A is the correct answer. Guys, let me know if you can understand this. I know I'm going a little slow, but guys, this will make your CR. This will make your CR perfect. Practice this method. I promise you. Absolutely, Ande. Circumstances or prices. So price of the product is one scenario which can lead them to losses. That is why the word can is very important in choice A. If choice A was they will be highly productive, that would have been incorrect. All right. Had the choice been worded, they will be highly productive without being profitable, that would have been incorrect. So guys, let me know if this is clear. I'll move on to the elimination of the other choices. Let me know if this is clear, guys. I'm going slow because I want you to learn the technique. There is no rocket science here, guys. It's very simple, something so simple that none of us want to do it. So thank you, Aniket and Dipti. What about the others? Are you clear with it, guys? How we reached? So Jaideep, will is wrong because then you are saying it is definitely going to happen. The paragraph does not provide you with information saying that this is definitely going to be the scenario. Will is about certainty, can is about ability, may is about probability. Okay. No, Jaideep, will in A is not going to be accurate. So, guys, Abhiroop, thank you. Guys, let me know if it is clear. I want to go back, go to the other choices and quickly move to the next question. Okay, I think it's clear. Great. So B says, now none of you really marked B the second time around. Do we know that the farms can be so highly productive that they will drive down the market prices? Do we know this? We cannot be sure of this cause of price drop. We know that there is a chance the price of their products might drop, but we don't know what will cause that drop. All right, so this is also out. This might be true in the general scenario. See, the farmers are going to invest heavily in expensive machinery. Okay, there is a chance that these farms can become highly productive. All right, and because of becoming highly productive, the supply might increase a lot, and because of increased supply, the prices might drop. This is all about might be true, but we don't know for sure. And if your passage does not back your answer choice 100%, it is not the correct inference. Therefore B is out. C, tend, the word tend comes from tendency, habit. Does the paragraph talk about any habit? The only tendency we can understand is about this, that there is a tendency that the farmers have to go into considerable debt. But apart from that, we don't know the tendency of the farmers. Can they be consistently profitable? Don't know. Do we have any information about interest rates? Absolutely not. So C is definitely out. This is out of scope. There isn't data, there isn't sufficient data in the stimulus to lead us to this answer choice. D was the only one which most of you confused. Now, they means large farms respond to operating loss. So this is operating losses taking place. One scenario we know is price drop equals to operating losses. Okay, operating losses makes them vulnerable. Do we know what will happen after this? Do we know what the farmers are going to do after they face operating losses? Yes, which part of the passage tells you what they will do? Will they go on increase? So if they want to increase their productivity, they have to borrow again. Borrow again. Does the paragraph tell you they will borrow again, guys? This is, I would say, it is opposite. In trying to be productive, they might face operating losses. Do you think then they will again try to increase their productivity by borrowing again? Very unlikely. Let me not use the word opposite, but let me say this is a very unlikely thing to happen. And therefore, we definitely cannot call it the inference. So, a few of you marked D. Can you tell me why, if D is clear, guys? Yes, Jaideep, the will is wrong because there could be many other reasons why the operating losses may not occur. Guys, let me know if D is clear to all of you. Okay. All right, let me now move to the last choice. They cannot be profitable. Now, cannot is an extreme word. All right. We call this at GMATWhiz, we call this a hyperbolic choice, exaggeration. When we are saying they cannot be profitable, it means they will never be profitable. And We only know one scenario where they might face losses, they may not be profitable. But we don't know if they will never be profitable if their owners borrow money. So this is also out. Okay, guys, here's the next question. And as I requested earlier, once more I'm requesting, please do not post your answers till I request you to do so. So get started, guys. All the best. I'm going to give you 2 minutes. It's a short paragraph, and I want you to try to read, draw inferences as you go along. Okay? I'm going to mute myself in the meantime. Rohan, there was a small glitch. You can see the screen now, I think. Guys, you can start posting your answers. Jaideep, don't make those assumptions. Operating losses means you're facing some kind of loss, and definitely some kind of loss means you will be facing some loss overall. So relaxing sounds, you'll have to adjust your screen resolution. I have actually changed the font and everything else. All right, let me see the answers, guys. So you will be surprised to know the difficulty level of this question, guys. This is 95% hard per GMAT club. And in my experience, most students get this wrong. How many of you would say that the technique that we just discussed helped you? How many of you would say that the technique that we discussed for the last question helped you? If it helped you, just say helped, yes. How many of you would say that the technique that we just discussed helped you solve this question? Let me know, guys. How many of you would say that the technique that we just discussed helped you to solve this question? Because the thing is, okay, I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag. So let's see. Julia D, Unicorn D, sorry, that's Sharik. I'm so sorry, Sharik. Blaze says D, Sharadeep says E, Abhirup says D, Anupam says D, Rohan says D, Sujay says B, Shivendu says D, Deepak says D, Amit says B, Jaideep says A, Sharik, thank you so much. Rohan says, Rohan, worry not. The timing will take care of itself with practice. Trust me on this. I'm not making empty promises here. I take private tutoring sessions and I've seen this happen so many times. Karna says D. Amit says, okay, thank you, Amit. Aniket, yes. Thank you so much, guys. So the thing is, let's see if we. Natasha says D. Deepti says D. Thokas. So I'm like pleasantly surprised because whenever I give this question to some of my students, usually it's a very small percentage who gets this right. But I'm just so happy that majority of you got it right. Yes, guys, the answer is D. But let's discover how to reach that answer correctly. And all of you need to check your reasoning as well. It's very important that every time you solve a question, you also check the solution to see whether you reasoned it out correctly. Because if you've got the answer correct because of correct reasoning, it will help you in future. Otherwise, if you've used incorrect reasoning to reach the correct answer, it's actually going to harm you more than it helps you. Ken says D, so okay, wonderful. Jaideep, let's see if B works or not. So here goes my explanation. Oh, I'm so sorry about the animation thing, guys, ignore it. So for a trade embargo against a particular country to succeed. Now, let's say here we don't know what is embargo. Let's say we don't know what is embargo, okay? A lot of you might ask me that question, but always look out for the context to understand the meanings of words. For one thing, we know it's something to do with trade. For another, we know it's something to do with trade and it's levied against a country. So it's something related to trade against a country. So we are saying for this embargo to work, to succeed, something has to be done. So again, it sounds like a necessary condition here. A high degree of both international accord and ability. So let's stop here and understand. We are basically saying that I'm just preempting here. Two necessary conditions are given for the success of embargo. Condition one is high degree of international agreement. So what we can infer is a huge number of countries must agree. Please understand, a high degree that does not necessarily mean 51% and more. That means high degree that does not necessarily mean it's most or majority. Okay, it simply means a huge number here. Since we are talking about international accord is agreement, harmony, so we are saying there must be a lot of agreement among the countries. Okay, that is condition one. And condition two starts here. It says ability to prevent goods from entering or leaving that country. So goods entering a country is import trade, goods leaving a country is export trade, and we are basically saying that export and import must be stopped. So condition one for embargo, condition two for embargo. We need a lot of countries in agreement, and we need total blocking of the international trade of that country. Okay. If you read further, a total blockade of patria sports. So now you have to tell yourself that, okay, now we are going to talk specifically about a country called patria. All right. So not only do these two conditions, the first two conditions apply to patria, but something else is going to come up about patria. A total blockade of patriot sports is necessary. So this is condition three if we talk about patria. Patria's case, block patria sports completely. I'm inferring here why block ports completely? to prevent the movement of goods. Remember, international trade must be stopped. So probably, I'm using the word probably, Patria's ports, if they are blocked, then it is probably possible that the export and import can be totally blocked. All right. So condition 3 in case of Patria is total blockage of ports required. But if we read forward, it says such an action. Such an action means which action? This blocking of port, right? Would be likely to cause discord over the embargo. Now remember, we needed a high degree of accord. So we are basically saying the fulfillment of condition 3 is likely to make the other condition fail. That is, create international disagreement. So if three necessary conditions, okay, you have three necessary conditions, and the third condition and this cannot coexist. All right. In that case, we can infer that trade embargo in Patria may not be successful. Look at the language I'm using. Look at the language. Likely to cause. Okay. Look at the language I'm using, and this is very, very important. Again, I've told you earlier, precision is important. So, with that understanding, let us move to the answer choice elimination. Now, it says balance of opinion. A lot of you, again, in my experience, balance of opinion here means what? We are talking about international accord, right? So there would be countries that agree, okay, and countries that disagree, discord, right? So a net opinion means plus and minus. We don't know what is the size of this plus. We don't know what is the size of this minus. So we don't know that the balance is going to tilt in favor of Patria or not. Therefore, we cannot conclude whether the overall opinion will favor Patria. So A is out. Okay. A is out. I hope those of you who have chosen A are clear why A is not correct. So Jaideep, yes, condition 3 is indirectly the same as condition 2, but condition 3 is more specific. Yes. Wubar, don't worry, you can get the recording, I think somewhere on YouTube. This is usually posted on YouTube. We don't have any sufficient condition here because the language used is must be sustained. For this is required, sustained, must be sustained. This language is the language of necessary condition. Okay. All right, guys, let me know if this is clear to all of you. And I'm going to move on to the next answer choice. Here goes B. Now, some of you chose B, some of you chose B, but look at this. As long as means the only condition. Okay. If I say, as long as you pay for the petrol, you can take my car, it means I don't care about anything else. I don't care whether you have the license. I don't care whether you're taking a girlfriend out for a ride or your boyfriend. All I care is as long as you're paying for the petrol. So, as long as, think about sentence correction here, means that the only thing required for a trade embargo to succeed is unanimous opinion against Patria. Again, the passage talks about a high degree of accord. We don't need everybody to agree, and we don't know if everybody is going to agree whether it is going to succeed or not. Just give me a moment, guys. I'll have a sip of water. Thank you, guys. Okay, so let me just continue where I left off. Yeah, as I was saying earlier, that the language of B implies that the only thing you need is everybody, all the countries, all countries should be against Patria. And if that happens, then trade embargo is definitely is likely to succeed. So again, okay, there are other conditions necessary for the success of the embargo. So we can't say that as long as, all right, and therefore this is not the correct choice. So B is out. Those of you who marked B, are you clear why B is not the correct answer? Guys, those of you who marked B as the correct answer, are you clear? Okay. So, because in the interests of time, I'm going to go a little faster. Nobody marks C, but again, we don't know anything about naval blockade ensuring that goods don't enter or leave Patria. I mean, will it be a naval blockade? Will it be a military blockade? Who is going to block the ports? We don't know. So this is again out of scope. All right. D is the correct answer. Trade embargo in Patria is likely to fail. Trade embargo against Patria may not be successful. Different ways of saying it, but ultimately, what we are saying is trade embargo against Patria likely to fail. So, this is the correct answer. Most of you got it right, and I'm like really, really happy. Really happy. And again, to remind you, it's a 95% hard difficulty level question. All right. E, nobody marked it again, but let me just clarify here. For a blockade of Patria sports, you need unanimous opinion is totally out of scope. I would say it's a distortion of the given information. The given information was you need a high degree of international agreement if you want the trade embargo to be successful. This choice says you need all the countries to be in agreement if you want to block Patria sports. So E is out. Okay, guys, next that we're going to look at is how to analyze the stimulus correctly in order to spot assumptions. Again, mind it, I'm not talking about exactly pointing out how to pre-think, but I'm going to talk to you how to analyze the stimulus correctly so that you spot assumptions correctly. This is what we are going to do. Here's the first question. Please hold on to your answer choices while everybody solves. Okay. Any is simply another word for a. Okay. It means any means if I say any chair will do, it just means a chair will do. The chair is not specific. Okay, guys, your time starts now. I'm going to mute myself. Get started. Use your stimulus reading skills here too, guys. Okay. All right, guys, you can start posting your answers. I gave slightly more time because the sentences here are long and I'm sure you do need time to read it properly. So you can start posting your answers. Let's see. Again, all the questions that we've done today are difficult questions. We are still going to do 700 level questions. There's another assumption question coming up after this. And let's see how we can spot the correct answer while reading the stimulus itself. Okay. So let's see. Deepak says B, Vuba says E. Then I have got Sharik saying E, Sambuj saying E, Julia saying C, Jaideep D, Shivendu E. Okay, so it's D, E, C, B as well. Ken says E, Dub says E. So once again, guys, this is just for my self-satisfaction and happiness. How many of you feel that reading the stimulus properly helped you? Thakuzani says D, Sharadeep says E. How many of you feel that reading the stimulus properly definitely helps? Yes, guys, let me know that. How many of you feel that reading the stimulus properly, breaking it bit by bit, drawing inferences helps? Sujay says B. So, okay, we have a lot of, variation here in the answer choices, at least B, D, and E, with E kind of stealing the show. Let's see. And one or two C's here and there. Let me start my explanation so that, again, you don't get bored. Here we go. Researchers have found something. What have they found? That when very overweight people, so we're talking about very fat people, let's say somebody who's 150 kilos, okay, they have found something about these very overweight people. And then we are given some general information about them. They have a tendency of low metabolic rates. Okay, so this is typical of the very overweight people. They have low metabolic rates, lose weight primarily through dieting. Okay, so we're talking about very overweight people, lose weight primarily through dieting. All right, and then we have a when here. So when they do this, their metabolism remains unchanged. Okay, so if we simplify this piece of information, what we have is very fat people have low MR. When they lose weight through dieting, their MR remains same. Great. Okay, that means when we say relatively low, it means relative to who? Probably people who are not very overweight. So when we compare these very overweight people, they have low metabolic rates. But when we look at the people who are not so overweight, probably their metabolic rates are not so low. Okay, and we don't know whether this metabolic rate would remain unchanged if they lost weight through any other way. But we do know through dieting, if they lose weight, then their MR remains same. They will thus, now this thus is very significant. Thus means because of whatever has been stated earlier. They will thus burn significantly fewer calories. So they will spend very noticeably fewer number of calories at the new weight. So if 150, somebody who's 150 kgs comes down to, let's say, 100 kgs, we are saying they will burn fewer calories. Okay, and this is because of low metabolic rate. All right, understand the scenario. Okay, than do people whose weight is normally at that level. So this burn fewer calories than I'm going to write normal people. I'm just going to write normal people. Okay, so normal people, somebody who's already 800 kgs, that person would burn more, but this person who's newly become 100 kilos will burn less. Such newly thin people, so this is what we have further, at the new weight, they spend fewer calories than people normally at their weight do. Such newly thin people, that means people who have become 150 to 100, will therefore, conclusion trigger, ultimately regain weight. That means they'll become fat again, they'll put on weight again until their body size again matches their metabolic rate. So, what by body size we probably mean their weight. So they'll keep putting back weight until their weight matches the metabolic rate, which means until they go back to the previous state. So the conclusion here is people who have lost weight will again put on weight until their body size again matches their metabolic rate. Now, there is a scope of conclusion, means the question here was we have to identify the assumption behind the conclusion. That means we have to find out how the author is sure that this is going to happen. So the scope of conclusion is any new information that tells us people who have lost weight will put on that weight again. So I'm going to keep this in mind when I'm going to search for the answer. Now the idea was how to spot the assumptions when you're reading the stimulus. Let's say when you're reading the stimulus and when you come across this portion, I'm going to show you here. We know that at the new weight, the newly thin people burn fewer calories. So fewer. Think of the opposite of this. Okay, ask yourself, okay, we know they will burn fewer. Do we know how much they will eat? So opposite of burn, opposite of spend is to take in, right? Think of opposites. Think of the information not given by looking at the information that is given. This is the technique. So the information given is they will burn fewer calories. So ask yourself, how many calories will they eat? Do we know that? That could be a pointer to look out for assumptions. And then the next thought that follows is, what if they eat fewer too? We don't know how much they're eating. What if they eat fewer too? All right. Similarly, we know they lost weight through diet. Okay. Do we know if they would do something else to keep the weight off? We don't know that, right? It's not given anywhere. But without giving that information, the author is concluding that they will regain weight. So the author is assuming that they won't do anything else, right? They won't do anything else to put back the weight again. So from the first question, the opposite of burn, the other side of burn, let me not say the opposite, the other side of burn is to eat. So we are assuming that the newly thin people do not eat fewer calories. That's not given, but we are assuming, right? And what is given? Given is how much they will burn. Not given is therefore what they will eat. So ask like that. Again, given is that they will diet. What is not given is whether they will do anything else or not. So think the opposite of what is given. All right, opposite, or think about the contrast, or think about the other side of the coin, and you will spot the missing pieces of information. Guys, is this clear? And this is a very simple technique. Guys, is this clear? How we spotted the missing pieces of information as we read the stimulus. So we read the stimulus that they burn fewer calories at the new weight. That time itself, we ask ourselves, okay, so how much would they eat at the lower weight? We don't know. Okay. How much would they have to eat to keep off the weight? They would probably have to eat less as well. All right. So you can spot the missing information by just asking yourself the opposite of what is given, the contrast to what is given, the other side of the coin. If cold temperatures are given, ask for what about the hot temperature. If dark is given, ask about the light. Okay, this is one very simple technique that can work, that can help you to spot the missing pieces of information. Great, guys. So that was the first leg. You draw inferences as you go along so that you can spot the differences. Now let's come to the answer choices. The next step is to read the answer choice carefully. Okay. And remember, our scope of conclusion was any new information that will tell us that they will ultimately become fat again. Okay. Ultimately regain weight. All right. Metabolisms of people. All right. So break here. Which people who are not usually overweight. Is this the category we are talking about? No, but let us still read on. So we are saying metabolisms of these people are much more able to vary. So metabolisms of these people varies more than the metabolism of people who have been very overweight. We already know, right, that people who have been very overweight, they have relatively low metabolic rates and their metabolic rates remain unchanged. So we know that the metabolism of very overweight people does not vary. So this choice presents, I would say, out of scope, or even it presents a little bit of repetition, things that we already know, and things that don't help us identify whether they will regain weight or not, because it talks about the different category of people. So A is out. The amount of calories that a person, now a person means which person? Overweight or normal? We don't know. This is therefore general information, something that is applicable to everybody. The amount of calories that a person in general usually burns in a day, so typically burns in a day, is determined more by. So, what is the basis of determining how many calories a person burns? Remember, we already know that the newly thin people burn fewer calories, right? So, again, this is trying to give you information that may not be new, but let's read on. This choice says the amount of calories that a person burns is determined more by the amount that is consumed than by the current weight. Now, this is going in the opposite direction of the paragraph. The paragraph is telling you that at the new weight, you will burn fewer calories. Okay? Fewer calories, new weight. Okay? And this choice says the amount of calories you burn depends on amount consumed and less on current weight. So this is going in the opposite direction of the answer choice. I again put out of scope, but I do think it is going in the opposite direction of what the paragraph is trying to say. Of course, it is not the assumption also. It doesn't tell us how will these newly thin people gain back all the weight, because this sentence doesn't talk about what will happen in case of newly thin people. So B is out. Okay. C is the crappiest answer here. Researchers have not yet determined. It's an assumption question. Does this have to happen? Does this have to happen? No. Researchers don't have to determine whether metabolic rates can be accelerated by chemical agents. This is not necessary for the newly thin people to gain back weight. Okay. Let's read D. Because of the constancy of their metabolic rate. Whose metabolic rate? People who are at their usual weight. This is not the category of people we are talking about. We are talking about newly thin people. We are not talking about people who are at their usual weight. So this is talking about the constancy of metabolic rates of people who are at their usual weight. Okay. And those people have difficulty gaining weight, equal difficulty losing weight. So this is not attacking the newly thin people. This is not even talking about them. Therefore, D is also out. The correct answer is E. E says relatively few. Relatively few means hardly any. Okay? Hardly any, or it means very few. Very few overweight people who have dieted down to a new weight means hardly any newly thin person. I'm going to simplify the sentence. Continue to consume. Okay? Continue to eat substantially fewer calories. Continue to eat. Let me use the word less. Just use the word less. Okay? So if you are saying very few people continue to eat less, what we are saying is most people eat more. If they eat more than the people whose normal weight is at that level, then they will put back weight again, right? So choice E is telling us the missing piece of information, how much do they eat? If they eat more, then of course they will put back all the weight again. Guys, clear? Relatively few is as good as very, very few, one or two. So, Jaideep, in CR, relatively few means hardly any. Nearly all means almost all. Okay? Relative. So, remember, Sharik, that it's an assumption question. You can't be absolutely sure that no person will continue to eat. That is not required for the conclusion to be true. Okay? So, relatively few means very few. Okay? Very few. Hardly any. Relative, comparatively. Guys, let me know if this question is clear so that we can get to the last question of the show. That's also a very interesting question coming up. And again, I'm going to show you how to spot the missing piece. Relatively few, Wuber means hardly any. So let's say in a class of 100 students, if there is a class of 100 students, relatively few will mean so small a number that you don't have to count them. Some will mean at least one. Okay. Okay, guys. So wonderful. Let's go to the next question. Here's the next question. All the best. Hold on to your answers. Please, guys, till I request you to put in your answers. And thank you very much for that. Okay, guys, a small disturbance because I might forget. So here's the link. I'm going to post the link to the trial version, free trial version of our course. It's there on the screen for you. Please make note of that if in case you're interested in checking out the free trial version of the GMATWhiz course. All right. Or if you are interested in talking to our experts over a free call, I'm also going to post the link to setting up that free call. And I'm going to share that link with you. I'm going to give you more time, so don't worry. So I'm just posting the link now on the screens for setting up a free call with our experts. Please make note of that. So these two links, the first was the link to the free trial version. If you want it again, please let me know in the comments. And this is the link to the setting up of the call with our GMAT, with our experts. So I'm going to hide this so that you can carry on with your question, guys. Thank you, Wubar. All right, guys, you can post your answers. You can start posting your answers, guys. So Sharik, okay, Sharadeep says it's C. Let's see what the others have got to say. Abhiroop says C. Shivendu says A. Dub says C. Jaideep D. Aniket A. Puber says C. Let me see. Sujay says C. Julia C. Anupam D. Jaideep A. Sharik says A. Natasha says C. Okay. It seems again C is the favorite and the next favorite is A. So let us see what's. Guys, there's one question. Quick question, okay? Sorry. The conclusion says that many means at least some or just simply some charitable and educational institutions would have to reduce service and some would have to close their doors. My simple question to all of you is, why would the educational institutions have to close the doors, guys? Give me the answer. Why would the educational institutions need to close the doors, need to reduce services? Go ahead, guys, answer me. I'm just simply asking a question. This is a technique I'm teaching you. This is a technique I'm teaching you to spot assumptions. Ask yourself, why will the charitable institutions and educational institutions need to reduce services and close doors? Let me post this. Hold on, I'm just posting the question in a moment. So when you reach the conclusion, and this is especially true in case of assumption, you can you can look at the conclusion and you can ask yourself, how is the author so sure that these charitable and educational institutions will need to reduce services and close doors? So let me see what answers you have given me. Okay. Let me read from the beginning. Lots of answers I have got. No, Anupam, you're not wrong. So Sharadeep says might be due to lack of funds. Of course, Sharadeep, not might be. In the context of the passage, these people will have to reduce their services or close down because they won't get as much fund as they were getting earlier. Aniket says no more funding. Natasha says shortage of funds. Ashwani says C. Abhirup says because wealthy people will not donate. Abhirup, is that given in the passage? Dub says donations will drop. Sharik says they won't get the charity. Sharadeep, yes, you're right. If they don't have enough money to offer their service. Good. Lack of funds, says Pranjal. So, such a simple technique to spot the correct assumption. Question your conclusion. How is the author so sure? Because assumption is all about surety, right? Absolute. No, must be true stuff. Okay. So, very good. Most of you have got it right. Okay. Yes, so Anupam, absolutely. Now the trick, so one trick I have taught you earlier is to look at the other side of the coin. That means look at the other side of information that is not given. Also, sometimes you can ask questions of the conclusion. Okay, I'll show you how. So I've already shown you how, but let me just also explain things better to you. So let me start my explanation. Here it goes. Basically, the first sentence is saying there is going to be a proposed change. Proposed means the change hasn't taken place yet. And that change is going to eliminate deductions from taxable income for donations, a taxpayer means any taxpayer, wealthy, not wealthy, poor, whoever is eligible to pay tax will not get deductions from taxable income, okay, uh, for donations. This we know. And this taxpayer makes donations to charitable and educational institutions. So we have it that per a new proposal, there are changes to be made to these income tax laws. And per those laws, the taxpayer is not going to be able to get any donation. The very next sentence tells us, specifically points out, wealthy individuals would no longer be permitted such deductions if the law is passed. So we don't know about the rest of them, but the wealthy individuals are not going to get such deductions. Okay, that means we can infer that their taxable income would then be higher. All right, and we are told that they won't get deduction, and suddenly we are told that charitable and educational institutions would have to reduce services and close doors. And as I said, ask yourself, why will that happen? Why will that happen? And you've already pointed out that that will happen, one, because they won't get deductions. So, no deductions, no or less donations. No or less donations. So that's the missing link, and that means close doors or reduce services. Forgive the handwriting, guys, but you get the drift. No deduction, no donation, reduce. So this is the gap. This is the missing gap, and this you can get by asking question of this: why? I'm scribbling all over the place, but you won't have the time in the exam to do some fancy writing there. So if we are really looking at thinking clearly, or what you call pre-thinking, for me, pre-thinking happens while you're reading the stimulus. So here we do not know the reason wealthy individuals make donations. As Jaideep was pointing out earlier, why they make donations, we don't know. Okay. We are just told that they won't be permitted such deductions. So if we don't know the reason why they make deductions, all right, then we cannot draw any conclusions whether they would continue to make those donations or not. All right, so the link between tax deduction and donation is missing. We know that they benefit through tax deductions, right? They're getting that deduction is something that will be reduced from the taxable income. But what if they continue to donate even without that? So they won't get the deduction, but will they donate? We don't know. What if wealthy people donate for some other reason, some altruism, philanthropy? Then, so here we are making certain assumptions. Okay, we are assuming that the wealthy people will not donate to charitable institutions if they do not get tax benefits, and we are at the same time assuming that there is no benefit other than the tax donation that will persuade these wealthy people to donate. So in other words, we are saying they donate because they get tax donations, and if they don't get the deduction, they will not donate as much. Okay, so what we are really looking for is wealthy people will not donate as much. Okay, and do we need a sum or do we need a all? For your conclusion, you have many and you have some. So we don't need this all. We only need a choice which will tell us that some wealthy people will not donate as much. Because if they don't donate, then only the charitable institutions would have to reduce services. Okay. So with that understanding, let's move to the answer choice elimination. And a lot of you marked A, all right. And let's see if A is the correct answer or not. It was really between, I think, A and C. Let's read what A says. Reading is very important. Money, which money? This is a modifier here. Contributed by individuals who make their donations because of provisions in the federal tax laws. That means we are saying money contributed by people who contribute because of deductions. That's what we are saying. That's the incentive. All right. So, money contributed by such people who make donations because of deduction provides the only source of funding. Okay. Now, there are two questions to ask here. Does this choice tell us they won't donate? They might be the only source, they might not be the only source. Does this tell us that they won't donate? Go ahead, guys, answer that question. Very good, Shauradev. Whether they are only donators or not, the donation amount, first we need to know whether the donation amount will drop or not. Answer that question, guys. Does this choice tell you that the wealthy people will not donate? So we can infer that they may not donate. Good. Okay. But do they have to be? The next question that comes up is, do they have to be the only source for the institutions to reduce services and the institutions to close doors? Even if they are not the only source, you can try the negation here. Even if they are not the only source, the money going to these charitable institutions will go down, right? If these people don't donate money, as much money, then the donations will go down. And in that case, some charitable institutions would definitely have to reduce their services. And depending on the amount of donation, they might even have to close their doors. So, A is not a must be true condition, guys. And if you ask those questions, very good, Dub. Absolutely. Absolutely, Woober. Perfect. I've got lovely explanations here. Good, good, good. Very good. So, thank you. Again, whenever you come across choices which confuse you, always apply them to the scope. Does this choice tell you they won't donate? Well, yes, this choice definitely tells me indirectly that since they're making donations only because of deductions, then when the deductions are not there, they might not donate. But do they have to be the only source then? Not really. Wonderful. So A is not the correct answer. It's not a necessary condition. Remember, an assumption is a necessary condition. So this is not a necessary condition. Okay? This is out. The primary reason for not adopting proposed change. Now, this again is a crappy answer. It is telling, does this have to be the primary reason for the conclusion to take place? Does it have to be true that the reason behind not adopting the proposed change? Now, we are not even talking about a scenario where we are not going to adopt the proposed change. We are talking about a scenario where if the proposed change is adopted. So, this is totally out. C says without incentives offered by federal income tax laws. Now, what is this incentives? Deductions. In the context of the passage, deduction is the incentive given to a taxpayer for making the donation to the charitable and educational institutions. This is what we can infer from the first sentence. So here we are saying without deductions, that means if wealthy people don't get deductions, at least some, remember what I told you earlier, we don't need all wealthy people to stop donating, but we do need some wealthy people to stop donating for sure. Some wealthy individuals would not donate as much money. Again, we don't need them to totally stop donating money, but minimum requirement is they need to stop donating as much money as they were donating earlier, as they otherwise would have. Bingo. C is the correct answer. It's a necessary condition. So we're going to hold on to this. Okay. If the wealthy individuals keep donating as much money as they would have when they were getting the deduction, then these charitable institutions may not have to reduce services and may not have to close their doors. D tells us wealthy individuals are the only individuals who donate. Number one, they don't have to be the only individuals. Number two, this choice doesn't tell me that they won't donate. It just says that they are only source of donation. So this is a distortion. Okay. We don't know whether they are going to donate or not. Income tax laws should be changed. They are telling us why income tax laws should be changed. Uh, no, they are telling us tax laws should be changed to make donations the only permissible deduction. But well, some other changes are taking place, so E is out of scope. The correct answer is C. So guys, today in the session we discussed some very simple techniques of reading the stimulus and drawing inferences as we go along. Reading the stimulus and drawing the identifying the assumptions, that are missing. Good question, Dub. So let's negate choice C. When you say at least some, okay, so you're saying at least some wealthy individuals would not donate, and we always negate the main verb, okay. So some will become none, and then we would say none of the wealthy individuals would donate as much money, okay. Sorry, I think I made a mistake here. My bad, guys. So when you're negating this, you would have to show that they would donate as much money as they were doing, right? So we are saying that most wealthy individuals would donate as much money to charitable institutions as they otherwise would have. So if that happens, that many institutions may not have to reduce services, we're casting a doubt. So negate the main verb, would donate. Okay. Guys, that brings us to the end of this session. So I think Natasha, yes, the author is trying to single out the wealthy people right in the paragraph where he says that they won't get the deduction. So we really don't know whether the others would get that deduction or not. Jaideep, you're making way too many assumptions, huh? Remember that choice A is not a necessary condition. Remember, it may be true, it might support your conclusion, but it is not a necessary condition. At least some is the same as some. Abhirup, if we had the word all over there, then the question arises, do we need all wealthy individuals to stop donating for some institutions to close doors? No, right? So the sum is necessary. Sum is a part of the necessary condition, Abhirup. All right. So there is if you go to GMATWhiz blog, guys, there is an article that I have written on these quantifiers and qualifiers, some, none, most, majority. Jaideep, imagine there are two sources of funds. You are getting funds from two sources, whatever be the proportion. You're welcome, Abhirup. Whatever be the proportion, don't worry, it could be 50-50, 70-40, 60-40, 60-30, but you're receiving money from two sources. Whichever source reduces the money, your money will reduce. Whether it's a single source stopping its donation, whether a double source stopping its donation, your money will reduce. So you might have to reduce your services. You might even have to close your doors depending on the proportion. All right, Jaideep. So A cannot be the answer. We don't need these individuals to be the only source. Even if they are not the only source and they stop donating money, then the conclusion still stands. So guys, I will once again quickly post the link to the free trial version of the course, guys. If you're interested, do give it a quick look. And I'm also going to, so there's the link to the free trial version of the course. You can copy that link, and I'm going to also post the link to set up a free call with our experts. You can book your call on calendly.com. I'm just going to post that link as well. So Shivendu, they don't have to be the only source. The question about only source is not required. In C, we are not saying they are the only source. Shivendu, in C, we are not saying they are the only source. We are just saying that wealthy individuals, when they don't get the deduction, will not donate as much money. So the donations will reduce. Remember the question I asked you right at the beginning, why will the charitable institutions close down? All of you answered because there would be lack of funds, shortage of funds, right? So C tells me there will be shortage of funds. Okay. I am posting the link to calendly.com now. You can set up a free call. So Shivendu, let me know if that is clear to you. And now I'm going to bring up some more details here, guys. You can get in touch with us at that email ID and that number for any queries that you might have. Shivendu, do let me know if you got your query is cleared. Also, guys, I would love to hear from you what kind of webinars you would like to see, what kind of topics you would like to see. Do let me know what kind of webinars you would like to see. Yes, guys. You're most welcome, Uber. Most welcome. Glad to have, glad that we could help you. All right, Shivendu. So, guys, do let me know in the comments what kind of webinars you'd like to see. Okay, Jaideep wants to look at evaluate questions. Yes, the others, do let me know. Inequalities using absolute values, Uber. Okay, I'll pass that on to the quant team. So Thokozani, the methodology, follow the methodology. Trust me, I don't know whether I can like write it out and give it to you the guarantee, but this really helps. There are very simple techniques, very simple things that you can do while reading the stimulus, while going through the conclusion. Not the only source means there could be other sources. Okay, and only source means there is no other source. That's the difference, Jaideep. If you're the only source, it means that is necessary. An assumption means you have to be the only source, then only the conclusion is going to be true. You're welcome. All of you guys, I had fun taking the session and I hope you enjoyed the session as much. Hoping to see you guys around, more of you. So I've just got one, so inequalities and absolute, using absolute values and evaluate. And then I've got Nakozani saying he wants similar questions, that is inference and assumption. Aniket, sentence correction, 700 plus level questions, okay. You're welcome, Dub. Julia, you're most welcome. Okay, so we'll keep bringing sessions that benefit you. We'll keep trying to look for simple solutions, simple things, simple pointers that you can use to improve your accuracy, guys. So have a very nice day. And all of you, thank you very much for your participation. A very good day to you if you've just begun your day, and a good night if it's the end. See you around again, guys. Bye-bye.